Hey guys, Sean here from GoT Productions, here to bring you more gaming news. Today I wanted to talk about a game that's special to me, at least, is Borderlands 2 coming out sometime next year, apparently. So I'll get right into it. Borderlands 1, you may or may not know, not really great to the PC gaming community. It was basically a direct port. There was some rebindable keys, but not all of them, and you couldn't do macros, and there's some problems with FOV, things like that. Most people would like if you're sitting directly in front of a monitor, it's different from a TV. You want the FOV slider there. It was good. I liked it. I liked the idea behind it, the random guns, the sheer amount of guns with various amounts of usefulness. Borderlands 2 seems to be a love letter, where there actually is quite literally a love letter from Claptrap, which I thought was an amazing move on their part. Probably put a link below if I happen to remember, which, I'll be honest, I'm not known for remembering things. So I'll get right into it. Not much has been put into the story. We know it's 5 years after the end of the original Borderlands, and your main nemesis is somebody named Handsome Jack, who is also taking credit for opening the vault in the previous game. Pretty clever move. I could see why they'd do it, because depending on what character you played in the original game, you could have had a different character's ending. Like, the character's ending weren't different, but you couldn't have one person take the credit for it. So if they have some other random guy take the credit, it kind of fits into the story. He's your main enemy. Not entirely sure why. The sources that I've checked haven't said why. I've seen the demo and everything. It doesn't look like there's a reason why yet. It's Borderlands. It's probably something silly. That's why we love Borderlands. The demo had Roland, who was the soldier character from the first game, in some kind of prison transport system, and you're playing as the Gunzerker, which is the new Berserker, which is a completely whack job class. The Gunzerker's special ability is to dual wield guns. Any guns. Rocket launchers included. That's crazy. There were some rocket launchers in the first game that were rapid fire to an extent. That's absolutely insane. The only other main character from the game that we saw was the new Siren class, which is Maya, but we don't know her power yet. It wasn't shown in the demo. We were told that it was different, but we weren't told how. Back onto the weapons. The weapons are actually really varied this time around. The first game there was a ton of weapons, but the problem is during missions or even in, like, let's say you're around the starting area for a while, you're only going to find one or two types of guns and a million variations. Most of them are worse than the gun you're actually carrying, and the actual make of the model of the gun really didn't matter that much, aside from base stats like power and accuracy. This one we saw one make of gun which is hilarious, called Tidori, and the developers called it the Walmart of Pandora. Basically, when you're finished shooting the gun, you don't bother reloading, you throw the gun at the enemy. The amount of bullets you have in the clip when you throw it determines how much damage it will actually do when you throw it. And there's another gun which, as far as I'm aware, is yet of unnamed, or we haven't been told yet, which looks like an AK-47 almost, but with 3 barrels in the end that spin like a minigun. It's just a complete bullet hose. Like, these things look amazing. The different makes of guns have really varied statistics. Like, the bandits in the game now actually have their own type of gun where it's all held together by duct tape, and the scopes are made out of bottles and weird stuff, and you have a drum magazine, but it's made out of like 2 hubcaps, duct tape. And their big trait is they're not particularly good at damage or anything, but they have ginormous clips. Another thing I actually want to get into on bandits is, in the first game, when you shot at somebody, you saw their health and you saw their shields above their heads, but when you actually shot them, they didn't really take effect. Like, the bullets had no weight to them. It's hard to explain. They just didn't react to being shot. They couldn't be stunned or anything. They could be dead, or they could be alive. In this one, it's going to be really changed. Like I was talking before, the Tidori, the Walmart guns of Pandora, when you throw them, will actually stun the enemy. And when you shoot at them with a shield, when they have a shield up, the shield will actually crumble and break around them. This is looking really, really cool. Another big thing is the environments. The environments, I remember in the first game, I remember personally, I'd see distant mountains, and just knowing that I'd never actually be able to get to these distant mountains unless it was through some mission and some loading screen. Now it's a lot more open-ended. It's almost like the original Borderlands meets Skyrim. Because if you see some huge mountain in the distance, you can actually just go there. It's a place. It's an actual place that you can go to. It's not, it's not all smoke and mirrors. There's no, like, invisible walls or fences that you can't jump over blocking you in anymore. You can go wherever. Also, there's a lot more loot. I'm not sure how much, but the weapons I said were already very incredibly varied. There's also a lot more of them. I'm not sure how much more. I know that the original game had 4 to 5 variants of every piece. Like, you could get 4 to 5 variants for, like, the stock and the grip and the scope, and that up to a ton of guns. And the enemies are going to be much more dynamic as well. It's mind-boggling how big a deal it is. But what I'm excited for, being a PC gamer myself, is the essential love letter that I mentioned earlier that they wrote to PC gamers. They're going to have a FOV slider, and they're going to have 100% redesigned menus for PC, and it's going to be Steamworks instead of GameSpy for multiplayer, which is a big shot in the knee last time, because GameSpy, nothing against it, but it's not good. Well, it's not bad, it's just not as good as Steam. Not much can amount to Steam in my eyes, though. Call me biased, but so there's going to be Steamworks and proper matchmaking for the PC. It's just all around looking much better. Fully rebindable keys. Possibly macros, I'm not sure. More like VSync for monitors. Different aspect ratio, not aspect ratios, resolutions, that's what I'm thinking of. More resolution options, because in the original there was almost non-existent. Whereas you look at something like Fallout New Vegas, there's like 60 different options and 3 different aspect ratios, and it's crazy. Much more graphics options. Push to talk was another big one. Just, it's the little things that add up in the original game. The original game itself was good, but it was really buggy too. I remember having this problem where every time I logged in, the voice chat in-game would be on, even though I was in like Skype with my mate when we were playing. Where the voice chat would be on even though the menus would say it's off. It was really weird, and last I'm gonna end off with, they're gonna the last thing they said they were gonna add is or not the last thing they said. The last thing I'm going to talk about is they said they're flushing out the environments. Like, I talked about the environments a bit, but they're like, the towns had who you had to talk to in them before. There was the